Well, hello everyone and welcome to the Horror Snob. My name's Michael James, I am the Horror Snob. Today running down another Fast 5 selection for you. We're only left with November and December remaining on the board, and both months are looking a little desolate for us as horror fans. So today's Fast 5, a combination of the 2 months. For the selection spread out through the month of November, and as we get into December, there's even less options. So for number 5, pulling from December, giving us a full slate of options for the remainder of the year, including The Dark and the Wicked, Kindred, Freaky, Deathcember, and one in particular that's been rescheduled probably a half dozen times by now. I'm still really looking forward to it, Monster Hunter. Before we get into all of those in detail and take a look at the trailers, I ask you as always to take a moment, hit that subscribe button and the bell. Stay up to date with all of my previews, reviews, and rankings as they go up on the board. And while you're at it, hit up our new partner merch store, Chaos and Havoc. Find everything you could possibly want there for those of us who like a little darkness in our humor. As for our previews, we start off today with one of the two coming out on November the 6th. First one up the bat, The Dark and the Wicked. Written and directed by Brian Bertino, dude put together a good slate of horror films in his career so far, including The Monster, The Strangers, and The Black Coat's Daughter. All of them very intense, dark, rich films that are as much about the story and the thrill as they are the big bad within the story. Xander Berkeley, probably the most recognizable person in this film, though Maureen Ireland is the lead. You may have just seen her recently in a movie that released at the end of October called The Empty Man. From all looks, a highly intense thriller, great usage of colors and contrast to just make it even creepier than what it was already going to be. I don't know that the trailer gives away enough to really understand what the story's going to be, but in the end, it may not matter. With the type of movies he's already pumped out, regardless of what the premise of this thing is, it's going to be a good time had by all. Look for The Dark and the Wicked, coming out on November the 6th. Also on that day, Kindred. This one, not a huge cast of people you're really going to recognize. Fiona Shaw is the one truly recognizable individual. You'll likely have seen her from the popular TV show Killing Eve. First-time writer-director on this, Joe Marcantonio, done a whole bunch of shorts up to this point. This is his first major feature film. Has a look that really feels more like remake of Rosemary's Baby. Very claustrophobic, very dark, but also seems like it's more drama-driven than horror. Given the recent slate of movies that have released to Amazon that have really leaned that way, that heavy drama-oriented film that's kind of pretending to maybe be a horror film, I do have some reservations that this movie Kindred might go that same way. Maybe it's just that they're keeping all of the good scares close to the chest, don't want to give too much away to us in the trailer. This one's got a 50-50 shot for me. It's either going to be really good or a bit of a letdown. Early November comes around and you're itching for something new? Might be worth taking a chance on. We could be very pleasantly surprised. A week later on the 13th, we get one that just looks absolutely delicious called Freaky. Directed by Christopher Landon, the same dude behind Happy Death Day and Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse, this thing just feels like Happy Death Day all over again. This time, in the role of little blonde final girl hopeful, we find Katherine Newton. You'll know her from things like the fourth Paranormal Activity movie and a TV show on Netflix called The Society. Vince Vaughn in this movie as well, and given the premise and his acting chops, you know this thing is not just going to be a good gore fest, but should be almost laugh out loud funny. It more or less is the old school tale of Freaky Friday horror style. Gotta love that. 'Cause what was Happy Death Day but Groundhog Day turned horror style? If this is what Christopher Landon is looking to specialize in, is taking stories we've seen before and turn them into horror movies for us all, God love them. Keep churning them out. So far they've all been a success, and I have no doubts that this one's going to be equally as good. Look for Freaky coming out on November 13th. To that, number 4, we jump into the back end of November for a movie called Deathcember. This one feels a lot like the ABCs of horror, if you've ever seen either of those. an anthology film that's going to run about 2.5 hours long. That's a lot of horror for us as fans. It has 24 shorts within it, playing out what they're really considering the horror advent calendar. Each story within it, different. Different actors, different director, different cinematography, different feel. They're all going to be individualized. Nothing where they're all encompassing or within the same universe like you've seen in movies such as Southbound or Trick or Treat. These are going to be individual shorts within the whole, much more like the ABCs of Death. And like the ABCs of Death, I have a feeling that where there are going to be some of these shorts that are going to blow your mind and be absolutely gross out entertaining, there's likely going to be a few that are going to suck a little balls as well. You got 24 shorts within this film. The odds are that some of them are just going to suck a little more than others. Regardless, the movie as a whole looks like it's going to be pretty entertaining. And who doesn't like a good anthology film as a horror fan? And lastly, at number 5, now on December 30th, going all the way to the back end of the month, it's Monster Hunter. Paul W.S. Anderson at the helm for this thing, and Mia Jovovich doing what she does best, kicking a lot of ass. This time, though, instead of zombies, it's some random monsters that look like they might have been leftovers from the Pacific Rim movies. Megan Good, T.I., and Ron Perlman, Hellboy himself, co-star in this. It's got a great cast, a solid lead, who's worked with the director before, very familiar with each other. They have pumped out good films before. I expect this one to be equally as entertaining. 50% action, 50% horror. Always a good time had by all. And who wouldn't be salivating at the idea of a movie that's parts Resident Evil, Stargate, Pacific Rim, and Godzilla? That is a witch's cauldron of all kinds of good things. Look for Monster Hunter, hopefully, fingers crossed, finally becoming available to us on December the 30th. Alright, that's it for me today. Another 5 up on the board to keep your eye out for through these early months heading into the Christmas season. If you've missed out on any of our other previous previews, our Fast 5 episodes, click the links above and get up to date on everything I ran down for the month of October. Maybe there's things there you've missed. No time like the present to get in a new high-quality scare. My name's Michael James. I am the Horror Snob. As always, I thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.